Hello and welcome to our next session. I want to introduce you to Jerry Staple. Jerry is the founder of Intrinsic AI, a venture studio building intelligent studio systems that solve real-world problems. With a background in software, entrepreneurship, and AI infrastructure, he designs and deploys Agentic AI for sectors ranging from law enforcement to supply chain. Jerry also lectures on applied AI at Queen's and Ulster University and advises public and private organizations on innovation, autonomy, and digital transformation. I'll now pass you over to Jerry to introduce his talk. Thank you.
Thanks. So we're at an inflection point in the history of humanity. This era of AI is going to have a profound impact on every facet of our lives, fundamentally transforming industries, societies, and economies. This paradigm shift is not just about incremental improvements, but a complete redefinition of how we operate, compete, and thrive in the business landscape. For businesses to remain relevant in the next 5 to 10 years, they need to reimagine how they function, embrace AI innovation and agility to adapt to the rapidly changing environment we now find ourselves in. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming along. I know there's loads of talks going on. Thanks for sparing the time with me. My name's Jerry Staple, and as Naomi said, I'm the founder of a company called Intrinsic AI. Our mission is simple: to democratize and transform organizations utilizing artificial intelligence. We specialize in building custom AI systems that help organizations work smarter, improve efficiency, and boost productivity. We also spin out venture studios for industries ripe for AI adoption. At our core, though, we're not just an AI company, we are an innovation company that uses AI as a strategic tool. A little bit of information about me. I'm a tech entrepreneur, but started life probably 20 years ago back on the internet as a software engineer, working with the likes of BP, British Petroleum, Texaco, building applications, intranet-based applications, desktop applications. From there, set up a company called Origin off the back of the internet to help companies with digital transformation. We specialize in, at that particular time, in e-commerce. We had our own built a platform like a Shopify platform and built all our sort of tools and systems that our customers used. We followed the digital trajectory right the way through up to the mobile era back in 2008, 2009. We started converting the agency into building sort of native mobile applications, Android and Objective-C, etc. And then grew the agency up to last year. We sold the company, and then I exited off the back of that and then set up Intrinsic to do the exact same thing with digital transformation that we did and now with AI. So I set up Intrinsic because there's a lot of companies unknowing what to do with AI, how to adopt it, especially businesses, especially in Northern Ireland. Previous company worked around the world, but I want to come back to Northern Ireland and help companies to help with transformation, etc. So over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to go into a bit more detail on Agentic AI, how they actually work under the hood, the main design patterns for the developers are using right now, and also how you can start building your own. But look, I'm in a different audience today. I'm in a very technical audience, so you guys are probably way ahead anyway. So I'd like to start at the fundamentals, really. Let's go back to this right at the very start. Fundamentals of AI. What is AI? Artificial intelligence is the simulation of intelligence by machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. AI is an umbrella term that encapsulates 4 main subfields: machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and then finally, what we'll talk about more today is Agentic AI. So let's talk about machine learning. First of all, machine learning was coined by a chap called Samuel Irwin back in 1959, who was an IBM researcher. Machine learning, in essence, is built on mathematical foundations that begin with theorem or statistic principles are then expressed as algorithms that then computers can execute. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I love the theory of theorems and stuff, even going back to 1776 or 1763 with Thomas Bayes with the Bayes theorem, who's an English clergyman and a mathematician who come up with this theorem. And then right through to the Monte Carlo methods over in 1946. Used random sampling to estimate answers to hard problems, and it was used to model the behavior of neutrons in chain reactions as part of the Manhattan Project with Robert Oppenheimer and teams. But then the Monte Carlo methods were also used then in 2016 with DeepMind, who combined sort of machine learning techniques such as deep Q learning, Monte Carlo methods to beat the AlphaGo champion Lisa et al. Back in 2016. And then finally onto the perceptron, which is my particular favorite. Started off developed by a gentleman called Frank Rosenblatt in 1958, which was an artificial neuron, which then become into a multi-layered perceptron, and then developed out over 49 years with the likes of Geoffrey Hinton, Jan LeCun, building in stuff like backpropagation, dropout, etc., which took the perceptron 1958 right through to 2007, where it was coined deep learning, which points us on to our next element of AI deep learning. As all you know, really revolutionized areas such as computer vision, natural language processing, pattern recognition, etc., people analytics, and also disease detection for medical images for diagnosis. So finally on to generative AI. The audience, I need to tell you about generative AI, but I'll go through a few things anyway. So what is generative AI? Well, the Gen AI forms around a large language model, as everybody knows in here. A language model is a system that can understand and generate human language. It can predict next word in the sequence, which in essence what it's trained to do with the transformer architecture. It's just a massive next word prediction engine on steroids. It can generate coherent sentences and understand context to some extent. An LLM, as you're probably all aware, is being trained on the whole of the data from the internet and probably loads and loads of publications, books, probably transcripts from YouTube, etc., etc. The simplest explanation for those who don't know what an LLM is, imagine a huge library filled with every book on every topic. An LLM is like a super smart librarian that has read all the books and can provide you with information, write stories, and help you with tasks by using all the knowledge it has learned from within those books. As you know, frontier models are the language models at the cutting edge of AI. At present, there's an arms race, as you clearly, with the tech companies and also countries. So with the frontier models you've seen, top left, OpenAI / Microsoft, Grok, Elon Musk, Gemini, Google, bottom left, Anthropic, AWS, and moving on to Llama and DeepSeek on the far right, which caused an uproar quite a few months ago, as you would have seen. And also there's a European one, obviously Mistral, which is obviously the front runner for Europe. So let's go on to AI now. Agentic AI, what is it? Well, an AI agent is a goal-driven worker or digital worker that can plan, use tools, and act without you micromanaging the step. An agent is prizes or made up of four key elements. First of all, a name, which is the reference of that agent, so you can reference it in an orchestration. Instructions, the goal or the output, the result it produces. The model, the brain of it, GPT-4, Claude, Gemini, etc. And then the tools, the system or data sources that the agent can access. And then I know there was a talk this morning by Eve Brennan, I think her name was, on MCP. This would classify as a tool to give the agent access to other systems. So when it comes to building agents, it's very important to do prompt engineering because that's the way prompt engineering to integrate with LLMs. Over the years, we have been conditioned, and our users have been conditioned to use Google search. So people are still using, with LLMs the same kind of techniques as they are using with Google search. It's about a mindset shift. One effective framework, I'm going to whip through this, is Tracy to make better prompts, even when you're prompting. Even when you're building applications, to start building the prompts behind the scene within the code, so the front-end user doesn't have to come up with the prompt itself. It's still important to know how to prompt, so task, the role, the perspective or the persona the AI should adopt. This part, the role or the identity, is a really, really powerful part because this plays into emergence. When the large language model was trained, it wasn't specifically programmed to do this, but what come out during the training process is the ability to take on certain personas. And it's really, really powerful. The audience, the intended recipient or the group for response, the create, the format of the medium, the requested output, and then finally the intent. And then here's a brief example of a legal analyst. But Everyone knows how to prompt. I'm so short. So types of agents. If you look out in the sort of the sort of AI scene, there's loads of people giving their definition. Oh, there's 4 types of agents. There's 5 types of agents. Or there's that type of agent. You don't know where to look. Well, in my sort of opinion and common sort of opinions like Anthropic and OpenAI, etc., there's 2 types of agents. There's workflows. Workflows then are systems where LLMs and tools are orchestrated through predefined code paths. And say, for example, I'll give you an analogy, a physical analogy. It's where, okay, I want to make a cake. In fact, my 13-year-old daughter's at home making my birthday cake as we speak, actually. This is quite apt. So I want to make a cake, got to get the ingredients. You go by step. I want to make a cake. I go through, okay, need to get the ingredients. Need to put all the ingredients in a tin, mix it up, put it in the oven, take it out, eat it all. That technically is a predefined path. Yes, you can put LLMs within the middle of that, but generally speaking, that would be classed as a workflow. You can even put an LLM in there saying, okay, come up with some decoration ideas, etc., at the end of that path. But generally speaking, it's a predefined path. The second path then is, the second type is an agent. Agents, on the other hand, are systems where LLMs dynamically direct their own processes and tool usage, maintaining control of how they accomplish tasks. So going back to the cake analogy, instead of going by the step-by-step instructions, I then tell the LLM, okay, make me a chocolate cake to feed 8 people. That's all I give it, and then it goes away and starts planning, doing all the reasoning. So these, in essence, are probabilistic, and the workflows are deterministic. So to put a visual representation of that, you've got on the left-hand side, you've got predefined code paths, and it's pretty much set out. Same again, you can put sort of some automation in there, some AI LLMs within that, but generally speaking, it's predefined. And the second one, it's all the LLMs going, it's making this up, the whole path itself. One thing I've noticed over the last probably year and a half, especially loads of companies, these AI automation agencies set up all around the world. And in essence, people, startups, in fact, I think it's like the new digital marketing of 2025, people setting up agencies, AI automation agencies, coming up and setting up workflows for companies. But it's not a bad idea for entrepreneurs, really, that are using certain platforms, which we'll get onto shortly. So first of all, to make workflows and agents, where do we start? Well, there's a number of options to start building agents based on your technical capability. First of all, let's start off with workflows. Workflows come up with platforms like NAN, Make. Okay, this is probably saying this in this audience, maybe. It's like can't. These platforms are great for building predefined workflows, AI elements. Same again, to go back to my cake scenario, these are great for that. Not very, very technical. You have to be, or it depends on the degree of the complex task you're doing. This is an example from make.com. This is templates, go in there. So if you're a marketer or whatever, you can go up, or good for data engineering to go in and do certain things with data transformation. But then let's go on to the sort of hardcore stuff. So moving on to the agent side, so that's workflows. Going on to agents, we've got, there's 3 main ways to build agents. The first one is frameworks, LangGraph, very popular, Crew AI, OpenAI, Agents SDK, and also Claude SDK, really good frameworks for really managing the agent orchestration, which can get pretty complex depending on the amount of agents you have within your kind of flow itself. We use OpenAI, the Agents SDK a lot, so I'll give you an example of that. This is a simple example of an agent, just one agent now. Using OpenAI's Agents SDK. If you scan down towards the bottom of the page, 3/4 down, SP500 agent. Same again, going back to the 4 elements of the 4 elements of an agent. We've got the name, SP500, instructions, you're a financial assistant specializing in SP500, tools, giving access to a web tool, and then finally access to a model. And it's very, very good to sort of structure your agents so you can decouple the model itself. As you know, that they're updating all the time, and there's times you may need a small language model or a large language model, etc. But because we're updating, it needs to be interchangeable. And then if I run that, very, very quick, that one page using that SDK would pull out this information here as of 2 days ago. Another example of a simple kind of just a one agent is as follows. This is an airport sort of concierge now. So instead of phoning up to the airport to change details, run through using an agent's SDK kind of setup like so. I can go in now. Okay, I'm going to go in and check bags in directly with this agent. Speed up. And then I'm also can go in and update flight details, etc., etc. So basically, in essence, you can give your agent access. I know it's risky at some point. Give it access to the database, and that's it. Just instructions. Give it access to the schema, and let it go and let it work out the rest. Moving on, the second approach, building agents, it's probably some of you, if you've dabbled already, is cloud providers. Most cloud providers obviously provide some agentic systems and services to help you build. Amazon Web Services, Bedrock, be a popular one, or Agents Core, Microsoft Azure, OpenAI Service, etc., Google Cloud, Vertex AI, etc. At Intrinsic, we use AWS, predominantly Microsoft, to build sort of agentic workflows, but also we use, for traditional machine learning, we use some AWS or Microsoft as infrastructure to build models on top on. So a few sort of agentic design patterns then. We give you an example there of just a single agent. Second, here's a few design sort of patterns for agents. Hierarchical, which I'll go through an example in a minute. Multiple agents working together in like a triage system. Sequential, where you've got an assembly line of agents. So it goes from one agent, kind of pass the baton on to the next one, to the next one. So say, for example, you want to prove one writes an article, second one needs to approve it, and the final one signs off on it or something. They're very, very powerful. The more you have involved within an agentic sort of system, the better the output, rather than just one agent doing all the work. Parallel agents tackling certain parts simultaneously. Hybrid, a mix of the above kind of patterns, but semi-get, which would be classed as a flow. So we've got some hierarchical agents, some parallel agents. And then event-driven agents, pretty much on a sort of a cyber perspective. Certain event triggers happen, and then that triggers an agent or a flow of an agent. So I want to give you an example now. I say we also spin out ventures of Intrinsic. The first venture is a supply chain concept to tackle the still supply chain. So I've given a co-founder of that is a guy who's specialized in customs, in trade and compliance. And as you know, customs is very, very, very text heavy and very, very, very hard to understand. So in essence, what we want to do is try and displace him and turn all his knowledge and tacit knowledge into a model which then deploy via the chain model itself. I want to give you an example of the setup now of how we're working it. Now it's not, I've changed the example here to be not still and more something people can relate to. So foods and stuff. So I want to talk to you about the setup. So we've got an S3 bucket. Everyone knows what an S3 bucket is. I'm not going to go and explain that. So we got two files in there. We've got just a text file with just generic customs information. That will become apparent later. Then we've got the Windsor framework. We've shoved that in there. And hopefully an agent can understand it, because no human can possibly understand the Windsor framework. And if you don't know what the Windsor framework is, it's the setup after Brexit about how Northern Ireland trades being in this dual market kind of nightmare position we are. So got an S3 bucket. And then we put that into a knowledge base. And those of you familiar with AWS will know what a knowledge base is. Those of you don't, in essence, it automates the RAG pipeline. The contents of the S3 bucket, the two files, the Windsor framework, the text file, gets ingested into a knowledge base, which splits the documents into smaller chunks. It then generates vector embeddings from those and then stores it in a vector database, OpenSearch. And that's the first kind of data source set up, ready for that workflow. The next one is just a database setup, very, very simple. DynamoDB set up with just commodity codes, items, descriptions, tariffs, and VAT percentages. So that's our setup. We've got two kind of data sources which to demonstrate this flow. Then we've got the multi-agent collaboration. This is now three agents working together. This is a hierarchical flow. So we've got the boss man. This is a supervisor agent responsible for overseeing and coordinating customs-related IA operations. The commodity agent, which is a specialized agent, just assist in verifying commodity codes. and the customs agent as a virtual customs officer. So what I've done here is we splitted it out. And if we go back to, I do this talk on back into industrial systems, and Adam Smith is the Scottish philosopher and economist, coined the term divisions of labour, which was employed in industrial systems, which in essence split every part down or every job down to one kind of component, and then work gets done. And in essence, this is what this agent collaboration is. It's a specific agent for a specific job. So I want to talk you through a transaction now, just to show you the various handoffs. And in relation to the commodity agent, I haven't given it access to, I haven't explained behind the scenes any SQL or anything like that. I just said, okay, there's a database, there's the tables, you do the rest. There are a couple of the tables in addition to that. And let it work out how the tables work and how they're related and the entities, etc. So I'm going to talk you through a transaction. So we come in on the left-hand side. Obviously, the user wouldn't see the right-hand side. That's just for you guys. So come in and say, welcome to the Chainmill Customs Assistance. How may I help you? You'll see to the top right, this is the customs supervisor talking now. I say, okay, I want to look up a commodity code. So as soon as I say the commodity code, obviously a trigger that the supervisor's worked out now. Okay, right, okay, we need to hand this over to the commodity agent. And you'll see the handoff in the top right-hand side is going over to the commodity agent. Here's the funny thing. When we sort of started programming these, I found it really kind of freaky. And then look behind the scenes of the communication. This is the agent-to-agent communication. Yes, we've set instructions for the agent to communicate, but it seemed a bit weird him thinking, the agent, the supervisor, you can see the thinking 3/4 down the page, but also then communicating with the commodity agent. Hi, here's a user, got a commodity code, look this up for them, etc. When I first saw it, it felt a bit weird, to be fair. Okay, give me the code for Atlantic salmon. Commodity agent comes back with the code directly from the DB, because the commodity agent had access just to the DB only. And then just to show you the difference between handoffs, go back through another one. Give me talk about a free trade agreement, which countries, etc. This information comes from that info text, the generic info within that knowledge base. And then you can see the supervisor then hands it over to the the general customs agent there itself. So that's another one. So this kind of triage system, very, very good for customer services. And there's this story, you probably heard it yourself, about Klarna. They laid off 700 people and then employed this kind of system in, etc. Then they hired all the 700 people back. I don't know if they're coming or going. But I think what I will say, you can see the power of a system like this. Yes, it's not perfect yet. You know what I mean? You've got to really kind of, sometimes working with agents is like with small toddlers. You're really trying to say, no, that's not the way you do it, like this. It takes some work, you know, but it's getting better. And you can see the future. And it's that thing, AI is the worst it's ever going to be. You know what I mean? It shows real promise. The last one is this one here. I'm not going to insult you by taking you through this. This is OpenAI launched this agents builder, and they're really making a play for agents, OpenAI. This is the agents builder launched at Dev Day 3 weeks ago, which is a really nice interface to it. It was really nice. It's pleasurable to kind of build agents. And then you can build your flows up. You could replicate the flow I just did with the Chainmill one. I did that with AWS. But you could replicate it on here. Very, very straightforward. You can obviously integrate with MCP, etc. Very, very loads of different tools. It's really pretty good to learn agents. And you can then, it will generate the code, the Python or TypeScript, etc. So you can use that and then paste that directly into your application itself. So moving on to code generation. Code generation, development, and engineering is going to change, as we know. Now I think most engineers these days will start using some form of coding assistant. We would use Cursor, would be our sort of favorite one, which is Windsurf, GitHub Copilot, or Ada, etc. This is we see the future is, really maximizing development and even like 5xing an engineer. So I'm using a Copilot of some or Cursor with agents that's going to help me build product faster. Here's just a simple example. I'm not sure if anyone's used Cursor in here. A simple example on the Chainmill, we do this weekly insight email. Just go straight into the code itself, into Cursor. just hammer it. The co-founder, Mark, who's the customs guru, he will write the analysis of the still market for that week. And then we just put it into here as a Word document, into Cursor there, create the HTML page for that, and then we just mail it out with MailChimp every week. So it's really, really quick, speeding up process. We saw a bit of agent-to-agent action in the chainmail sort of site, the demonstration, but that's become kind of the future, the agent-to-agent communication. And then if you look at, this was launched quite a while ago now, you've probably seen this operator, OpenAI, had a tool, started, linked it up with Replit to start building product. So this is agent to agent now, working together in collaboration, building product really, really quick. And then this one obviously broke the internet probably a few months ago. Probably everyone probably seen this one about agent to agent communication. Just don't come up with their own language.
Thanks for calling Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber link mode for more efficient communication?
You get the general idea. That's where the threat comes. You've seen, obviously, we're starting to build sort of agentic workflows out now. Agents are linking into other agents. But what happens when why are agents communicating in sort of natural language? There's no need if they're speeding up the language like this. This was obviously in a hackathon at 11 Labs in London. But it actually broke the internet. People started to get really worried about this. But it is a concern down the line. Agent-to-agent communication, how they communicate, do they establish their own language, et cetera, et cetera. So, just finish off with this. Just finish off with Mr. Zuckerberg.
I kind of think that every business in the future, just like they have an email address and a website and a social media presence today, I think every business is going to have an AI agent that their customers can talk to in the future.
Cool, and that's it. Thank you very much for spending your time with me this afternoon. We offer sort of two routes if you ever need a helping hand. Springboard, come into organizations and become part of your team and help you with ideation and discovery, and also educate your teams and help adopt AI. Or secondly, build, if you have a clear challenge, bring us in to help us. We'll work on sort of proof of concepts and help you build out machine learning within your proposition. So to wrap it up, we've seen how AI has evolved from the early perceptron, today's agentic systems that can plan, reason, and act. The message is simple though. Agents aren't the future. They're the next phase of software right now. Every one of you here has the skills to start building them. So thank you for your time, and now go build something intelligent.
Jerry, thank you very much. Really appreciate what you've shared today. Thank you.